Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode, I'm joined by incoming freshman on the BU women's hockey team, Jackson Kinsler. Jackson, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and how's everything going?
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's actually going really well. It's a good start to summer. Looking forward to the upcoming season for sure.
How has your summer been going so far? Have you done anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or not?
I actually have. Just in terms of hockey, I've been coaching here at Shattuck. I'm coaching the Excel camp next week. But away from the game, I went to Nashville for the draft. That was a blast. But a lot of training in August is going to be coming up, especially right before the season.
That's awesome. What's Nashville like? It seemed like it was buzzing for the draft from what I saw on social media.
Yeah, it was very lively, that's for sure. Being able to sit in and watch all the players get drafted, it was such a cool experience for sure. There was nothing like it.
So I have to ask, who's your favorite team and what was your thoughts on their like draft picks?
So, my favorite team is the Boston Bruins for
Nice.
sure. Um, but unfortunately, my boyfriend did get picked to the Winnipeg Jets,
Oh,
so I guess I'm
congrats.
now the number one Jets fan.
That's awesome. Congratulations to him.
Thank you.
Which pick was it? Was it the Kobe Barlow, the first rounder?
No,
Oh,
it was actually the next pick after that. So Zach Nearing. So he's now at development camp with them,
oh,
having a
nice.
great time.
What do they do at Winnipeg Jets development camp? I don't know what to do. I've never been to Winnipeg, so
I've never been either, but I think I'm about to travel up there. Um, so far, it looks like they've just been doing a lot on and off the ice testing. I think they had an on ice beep test yesterday. I don't think I've ever done something like that, but from what I'm hearing, it was not an easy thing.
oh, for sure. But I will say the Jets have arguably the best jerseys in the NHL. I think they look sick. And then
Yeah.
obviously I want to see them with Western Michigan first. So let's go Bronco country. Let's ride. That's what I like to say whenever I see Western Michigan.
As much as I want to support Western Michigan, BU did beat them this year to go. So, I
You can
mean,
root for the Western Michigan men's team and root for the BU women's team. You can. I feel like you could separate
oh,
that a little bit.
I don't know. Seems like a conflict of interest, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, luckily they're not in the same conference, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But no, I'm glad you had fun in the draft. It looks super fun. Obviously, I'm super excited to see Matthew Wood, big UConn guy, as people know, and he was picked 15th by the Predators. So
Right.
it looked like a good time. I will one more draft question. How big was the buzz for Connor Bedard? Because I feel like we haven't seen a prospect like that since McDavid.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that many people from Chicago in Nashville before. Everyone, it seemed like, had Bedard jerseys on. I don't know how those got printed already, but the rink absolutely went crazy for him. Getting to see him in person, walk up on stage, do all the interviews. It was such a cool experience for sure. So, he's got an upcoming season for sure, and I think a lot of people will be watching that first game.
Yeah, I can't imagine all the pressure that he feels right now. He seems to be handling it well, but I will say he's a lot smaller than I thought. Like I didn't realize that.
Yeah, especially in person, he might look it, but he looks like a pretty strong kid. So
Oh yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how he does as an 18-year-old against like fully grown men. So
Well, we saw McDavid do well when he was 18 and same with Crosby, so I feel like he's going to do well himself, especially since he's going to be getting a lot of help with him with in Chicago, I feel like. Just because they have
definitely.
brought some veterans in the off season. So I think he's my pick to win rookie of the year. It's either gonna be him or Fantilli if I had to guess.
Yeah, I it'll be interesting to watch how they do in this upcoming season for sure.
Now you mentioned how you're training as well as having doing some fun stuff this summer. So what are you working on the most in regards to preparing for your upcoming college hockey year?
I think a lot of it has gone into both speed training, as well as like pace of play. Coach Sawicki here at Shattuck has helped me with my summer program, as well as Coach Ken at BU. They've both put together magnificent like programs for me, in the summer, both in terms of like speed and strength, and like having to balance those out, definitely. So I'm excited. It should be interesting.
Well, let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So you're from Marona, Wisconsin. Talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey?
I actually started when I was like 3 years old. My dad put me in skates like literally as soon as I could walk. And then I grew up playing boys hockey back home in Monona. Played boys up until Bantams, and then ended up switching over to girls at that point. Played Team Wisconsin, Madison Mavericks, and then ended up leaving obviously for boarding school. But I mean, I absolutely fell in the love with the game from the start. It's really where like I made my second family was in the hockey community, and so I knew it was the right sport for me growing up.
Who was your favorite player growing up? Because I know there's no NHL team in Wisconsin. So I'm
Yeah.
probably like a Red Wings player. That's sort of where I would think most people from Wisconsin would root for, but I could be wrong.
I'm actually gonna have to take it to the girls' side. Brianna Decker was definitely like my favorite player growing up, which is a little weird now that she was my coach this past season. But I mean, it was like my dream. Like finding out that she was going to be my coach, I was over the moon.
Oh yeah, she's a legend for sure, and best of luck to her in retirement. I feel like it's too soon though. I want to see her in one more Olympics because I didn't like how it ended the last time.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Well, before you were on Shattuck St. Mary's, you played for Deerfield Academy. Like you mentioned, you played for Team Wisconsin, then made the transition to boarding school. So talk about your prep school hockey experience with Deerfield and what you took away from that experience and sort of how did you sort of decide to go to Deerfield initially, I guess, as well?
Actually, Coach Brooke recruited me when I went to nationals in Massachusetts. And to be honest, I wasn't really open to the whole idea of prep school at first. I really wanted to play with my friends back in Wisconsin. But as soon as I toured Deerfield, I knew it was the right place for me. Um, I mean, from the support from all of the teachers, coaches, faculty, like students, I mean, there was no place like it. I truly had the best 3 years of my life there, and I absolutely would recommend to anyone. I mean, even if you don't think it's the right place for you, just take a chance on it, and you'll never really understand like how good it is until you're there.
And during your time with Deerfield, one of the things that you had to deal with, which I do want to talk to you about, is obviously the COVID-19 pandemic, because it happened right in the middle of your high school career, right in the middle of sort of the big time where I feel like players develop the most, especially before heading off to college. So my question is, how did you handle that challenge of sort of having the season be not what it usually is, but also especially trying to develop and get better with all the restrictions that you were probably facing? How did you sort of handle and maneuver that adversity and challenge?
Um, you know, it was certainly difficult. I think all athletes and people can attest to that. Not knowing when your next practice, when your next game was, if you were even going to be able to see a single person that day. It was hard for sure. Especially at Deerfield, I think we had a lot of rules around quarantine, being able to see each other. I think we only played like 4 or 5 games that entire season. So it did truly like make me question whether like I wanted to continue playing hockey at times. It was really hard to continue training, but with no like end game or, you know, goal and purpose. It was certainly difficult, but I think that's also like when I grew the most as an individual, just because of the amount of time that we got to spend on the ice. I mean, that was my only time that I ever got to see and interact with people was while I was on the ice with my teammates. And so I really took advantage of that. And I think that's when like my love for the game really like developed and grew.
What's like the best memory you have with Deerfield when you sort of look back on it now?
Um, I think it would have to be winning our senior night at home in front of our entire community. And then we ended up beating Loomis, who we had previously lost to earlier in the season. And our goalie, Grace Caligieri, who now plays at Colby, had gone to Loomis and then took a postgraduate year at Deerfield. And seeing her face after that game and the huge smile, I that's a memory I will never forget, truly.
Now, this past season, you played for Shattuck St. Mary's. How'd you get the opportunity to go there and play hockey?
I was really lucky enough to take a postgraduate year here. I had looked at Shattuck when I was first looking at prep schools in eighth grade. And at the time, like it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. And it turns out it was everything. I absolutely love this year. I don't have enough good things to say about Shattuck. The coaches here are incredibly supportive. I'm very grateful that Coach Stafford took a chance on me and brought me into this year. And really, like it was a year like no other.
And what's it like going to that school and being a part of that historical program with so many legendary hockey players that went there before you did? Obviously, on the women's side, Amanda Kessel, the Lamoureux twins, and Brianna Decker. That's just naming a few. I haven't mentioned some others, but then on the men's side, McKinnon and Crosby, those are some of the best hockey players to ever play the game, and they all went to Shattuck St. Mary's. How do you sort of like deal with, I not deal, but sort of like, how do you sort of like guess how do you sort of like what's it like sort of being a part of that hockey history, I guess, is sort of the best way I can say that.
Yeah, no. I'm incredibly proud to put on the Shattuck jersey. And I was sad to take it off for the last time. Um, Shattuck has obviously built its history, and we see it all over the walls. I mean, from every trophy, we have our national championships posted on the wall. I mean, it is so cool to be in an environment like this. And to be honest, like there's no place like it. I think this is truly like the best place for girls hockey in particular. I mean, on the guys' side as well, but I mean, just speaking from the girls' point of view, there's no training experience like this I haven't been aware of. I think there's other programs that definitely like come close, but I mean, I was supported in a way like no other, and I couldn't recommend this place more.
What's the best memory you have at Shattuck? Both all it could be off the ice too, because I know a lot of players I talk to from Shattuck talk about sort of how all it seems like it's an off ice memory that's sort of the one that sticks out to them the most.
I would say I had a lot of off ice memories for sure. I mean, we had a lot of like very fun like dances this year. Prom was great, but I mean, none of it compares to winning a national championship.
Yeah.
Um, that was I am truly speechless. That was the best memory ever.
What's it like getting to hold up that trophy, especially since you went through a lot to sort of get there?
I mean, when you finally like get your medal and get to like hold the banner and the gold plate and everything, it feels like all your hard work finally like went into something. And you can finally take a deep breath knowing that it was all worth it at the end of the day.
And what do you think made your team so special that this past season? Because obviously you've been a part of very good teams in the past, but sort of what made this Shattuck St. Mary's team, I guess, special and sort of unique from other ones that were a part of the school in the years past.
To be honest, I think it had a lot to do with coaching, but also the buy-in from every single player on the team. I mean, there wasn't a single person that I could point to that didn't want it just as much as the other. I mean, we were all under the same goal, and our coaches really like helped us with that. I mean, every single practice that we had at 6 in the morning, I mean, we were reminded of how much we wanted to win a national championship, and it was so good to finally win it.
How do you think your time at Shattuck has helped prepare you for college hockey?
Oh, I think it's totally helped me. Especially right before college. I mean, we practiced 4 to 5 times a week with 3 games on the weekend. I mean, from the endless amounts of like skills and time in the gym, I saw my improvement like shoot completely, and improve a lot over this year.
One of the things I also noticed that improvement as well, looking at your stats from your freshman year at high school to now. So my question is, what do you think was the biggest improvement that you made to your game this past season that sort of led to the success that you had on the ice?
I think a lot of it had to do with inner confidence. I think that as a freshman, I was pretty underconfident, kind of let the game play, and I was just kind of there along for the ride. But I think over time and with the people around me, I learned how to play my own game within the style of my team. And that definitely made significant improvement to my game.
How do you work on your confidence? Because it's such a key part of hockey, but it's not something like I don't know. I feel like you can lose confidence so easily, but it's so hard to gain it. How do you sort of work and maintain that confidence, especially as last year with all the success that your team was having?
I think it had to do a lot with not only on ice, but off ice confidence as well. I think, being proud of the person that I am, but also improving like my mental toughness, especially like during COVID when that was so hard to do, and to continue to like push myself each and every day. Uh, Journaling helped a lot. I couldn't recommend it more, to be honest. Being able to like write down just the things that I'm good at, but the things I could improve upon as well. And keeping track and record over those. I mean, I still have all my journals from sophomore year, and it's pretty cool to look back on and see how much that my mental toughness has improved.
Now, I know there's a lot of BU hockey fans probably listening to this podcast. So, for the BU fans that have never seen you play before, just describe your game to them and what can the Terriers expect when you step on the ice in October.
Well, I am certainly a 200-foot player. Forechecking is just as important as back checking to me. This year I think Coach Stafford emphasized D zone a lot. And so that's something that I definitely have like taken with me and will take with me to BU. So I'm excited. I'm just a grinder, not always like the most skilled player, but will always work hard for the puck, a lot of passing as well. Assist is a really big thing for me. So being able to work within our new team environment that's what you have to look forward to for sure.
I do like asking this to people who are more playmakers like yourself. How do
Mhm.
you know when it's the right time to pass the puck or be selfish and shoot the puck?
Ooh, that's a good question. A lot of it that I have learned is both the positioning of the defenseman, but the goalie as well. And being able to read sometimes like if the pass is a little too predictable, also reading numbers, whether it's a 2-on-1, a 2-on-2, 3-on-2, kind of like knowing your and being aware of your surroundings on the ice, I think is the biggest thing.
Now, we do need to talk about your recruiting process since this is a college hockey podcast after all. What was your recruiting process like with Boston University, and what made you want to go there versus other schools that you might have looked at? And I also want to ask, it's what made you want to go out to the East Coast because I always find it fascinating that a lot of Midwesterners want to come out east and play college hockey. So I just sort of want to hear what made you want to go out to this part of the country a little bit as well.
Well, my recruiting process certainly wasn't a pretty one. I dealt with like the rule change in terms of like being able to talk to coaches. And not only that, but then COVID as well. So I had a lot of setbacks. It wasn't all like glamorous for sure. Um, but when schools had started to like reach out my junior and senior year, I was terribly excited when Boston University reached out. I mean, that has been my dream school since day one. Um, when I toured BU, I I 100% knew it was the right place for me. So I was extremely excited. I love the city of Boston, and I couldn't be any more proud to represent them this coming season.
Have you watched any BU hockey since you committed, and what's your thoughts on sort of the team? And have you met any of your future teammates? Yeah, I know we talked before this about how you met Brooke Dishaw on your official visit, and shout out to her. Like you said before, she's one of the nicest people in college hockey.
Oh, absolutely. I did watch a lot this year, especially my Shattuck teammate, Lola Reed, committed. So we used to watch the games together. Watching them play at Frozen Fenway, I mean, what an unreal experience. I mean, this whole season, like it was incredible to watch their journey. They play extremely fast and physical, and so I'm excited to be on that team. But I mean, just the individuals that I met on my visits and have connected with through social media and everything have been terribly nice. I mean, Brooke Disher, Sid Healy, Maeve Kelly, Alex Law, like Neely, my entire freshman class, like I don't have enough good things to say about them. Um, they're really good people, and I think that's also what made me want to go to BU was the people and the coaches as well.
What do you think is going to be the biggest adjustment that you have to make in college hockey?
I think what I see a lot is the pace of play. I mean, tier one, obviously, like the speed is as high as you can get it, but I think the college level is a different experience. So I'll be interested to see how that adjustment works out for me and my teammates as well.
Are you working on anything in particular to sort of get ready for that adjustment? Because I feel like it's hard to sort of replicate the speed of the game in practice. I feel like you can only sort of learn how to do it and adjust to it when you're actually playing in a real life game, which is hard as a freshman because you're trying to do the right thing and obviously impress your coaches so you can get more ice time. I'm just curious how that sort of works out, especially from a mental aspect as well.
I think a lot of it is personal motivation on the ice during my skills. Summer skills can either be the best thing for you or the worst. It can really improve your game, but it also can hurt your game in terms of your pace of play. I think, there's always summer league and open hockey, which is great and super fun, and definitely something I go to. So, but I mean, it's also good to have those like high tempo practices every now and then. I have been training at home with the Team Wisconsin boys. And so to be able to play at that level, I'm hoping that that translates well into the college level as well.
What are you most excited about when you think about going to BU next season?
Ooh, it's a tough question because I'm really excited for a lot.
It's gotta be the bean pod, I assume. I don't know how do you know how big the bean pod is? Because it's one of the biggest events in Boston, but I feel like a lot of people who aren't from the city don't realize how big it is until they play in it.
I've actually never been. So that actually is a really good answer because I am excited to see how that works out. I have never been, but I've heard it's a really big deal. So it should be fun.
And it's at the Garden next year. That must be super exciting for you to get have the opportunity to potentially play there.
Oh, extremely. And I'm hoping that it does work out for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think it will. That's just sort of my intrusive thoughts right now. But what are your sort of individual and team goals for next season?
Individual goals. I think I'm a very team first type of player and person. And so being able to adjust from, my Shattuck play to BU, I definitely have to learn how to adapt to their style of play. So that is definitely an individual goal, but I mean, team goal, I think we have some of the best talent out there, and especially like incoming in the next coming years. So I'm hoping to go pretty far with BU as well.
Now, there was obviously a coaching change at BU a few months ago with the retirement of Brian DeRocher. I want to ask you, as an incoming freshman, does the coaching transition affect you in any way? And have you had the chance to meet Coach Watchorn, and how excited are you to play with her, especially with the success she's had, not with just with Stonehill, but with Team Canada and the U18 World Championships?
Yeah. Obviously, like I was pretty sad when I heard the retirement of Coach DeRocher, as well as Coach Matthews leaving, but I'm very excited for this coming season. Coach Watchorn, I mean, her her accomplishments speak for themselves. I mean, she took Stonehill to great success, and I think that she'll be a huge help to this upcoming season. And I'm incredibly excited to be playing under her. And I've already felt her support over the summer, even just by like something as simple as like reaching out about dorms and classes. But I mean, just how I'm feeling and how I'm going to enter for this coming season as well.
Yeah, what's I'm curious how do they reach out to you when the coaching transition happens? That's something that they don't really you don't really I want to sort of hear the behind the scenes about that. I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, so Coach DeRocher actually gave me a call while I was in class at Shattuck. So I stepped out to take that call, and then he had announced to me that he was going to retire, which obviously, like, I think I shed a tear, like a couple actually. Um, I was pretty sad to hear that Coach Matthews was leaving as well because she was a huge part in my recruiting process. And I don't have enough good things to say about her. I mean, anyone who gets to play under her in the next coming years is incredibly lucky. And she's a wonderful person. And then it was a little bit of a waiting game, not knowing who was going to be taking that position was a little scary at first. But as soon as Coach Watchorn was, I mean, announced to the position, I couldn't be any more thrilled.
Now we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. First one is, what music do you like to listen to?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I'm I have a very wide range of music. I think that all my playlists are kind of titled by each category. But all-time favorite song has to be OMG by Usher.
That's a very interesting pick. I remember hearing that, but I don't feel like it's never on the radio anymore.
Yeah, no, I think it's overlooked a lot, but yeah, no, that's definitely favorite song.
I will say that's probably not my favorite Usher song. It's probably I forgot how I don't want to sing on the pod, but probably like
No,
the
please go
Love in the Club
ahead.
song, the Love in the Club song. I with
Love and
Jeezy.
stuff.
That's a catchy song. That's probably my favorite Usher one if I had to pick any.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or DJ Falling in Love. That was a good one back in
Oh,
fourth
that
grade.
yeah, that's a good one too.
So I remember that came out in fourth grade. That was awesome. I'd probably say that one actually might be my favorite Usher song.
Hmm.
I like every type of music personally. Probably any genre of music, I'm probably into it, except for like really heavy metal. And I have a
Oh,
playlist
yeah.
for every genre of music too. So I can go from Frank Sinatra all the way to Drake, which I'm pretty sure many people can't do that but myself. So I'm proud to say that.
Okay, can I ask you your favorite artist then?
Oh, I don't know if I can have a favorite artist. Probably the best concert I ever went to was a group called Angels and Airwaves, and it's from the guy who made Blink 182. He like left
Okay.
and started this band, and it was a really good show. So I'll probably say that band.
Ooh,
But I also sort of probably like Drake as well. I know that's sort of a basic answer, but he makes really good music. So
no, all the
probably one of
classics. Those are
one of those
perfect.
two. Now, let's ask you the question about what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week.
Ooh, um, probably it was the announcement that came out today, actually. One of the coaches from Shattuck, our U19 head coach, is actually leaving for this upcoming season. And he is going to coach at the Minnesota Gophers as an assistant coach, Coach Mitch Baker. And I'm incredibly excited for him. And I'm excited for his players as well. He's a really good person and an excellent coach.
Well, best of luck to him, obviously, except for against BU.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. I saw that announcement too. I think I think the assistants that Minnesota got today are definitely going to be super helpful for that already very successful program. So,
Right.
for me, probably just the whole Facebook versus Twitter thing with how Facebook created a new version of Twitter called Threads and how they're trying to
Oh,
compete with Twitter because I guess a lot of people are upset about how Elon Musk has been running it since he took over. So I find that pretty interesting, but now Twitter wants to sue Facebook. I was reading the story. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I'm curious to see how it changes the direction of social media. If Threads
for
can be
sure.
something, or if Twitter can find a way to get rid of Threads, which will be which will be pretty interesting because usually Facebook wins all these big social media
Yeah.
battles that they have. So I'm interested to see. I think The Social Network was one of my favorite movies ever, but to see it play out sort of in real life,
Mhm.
I think is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. That'll be definitely interesting to watch in the coming years.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Ooh. Um, my great grandma actually passed away a few years ago, while I was playing at nationals. And so if I could have lunch with anyone, it would definitely be her.
How cool
Just
would
one more time to talk to her.
Yeah, how cool would it be to sort of like tell her what you've been up to now?
Oh my God. Uh, I it would be an amazing experience. Just to even tell her how my last 2 years have gone would I would give anything for it.
Well, my answer is not as wholesome as yours. It's probably Tom Brady. I think it'd be cool I think it'll be cool to talk to him just and hear about all of his accomplishments that he's had. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
now, who had the best style on the Shattuck St. Mary's team last year? Obviously you did, but who's second place?
Yeah, no, I think my game day fits definitely won. I have some planned for the next
Do
couple
you know
weeks.
the College Hockey Talk outfits of the weekend? I'm assuming
Ooh,
you've seen it before. You
absolutely.
you got to make one of those lists on the weekends,
Oh,
upcoming season.
I'm planning on it for sure. Best style on the team. Okay, on the ice, I would say is a little different from off the ice. So on ice, I think I would have to give it to Maggie. Mm, yeah, on the ice she wins. But off the ice, I would think my line mate Dylan Berman. For
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know if, and at the end of the season, I also got to let you know this. We ranked the 10 best players with the best style. I don't know
Mm.
if you saw that. And Lacey Martin was, I think, third or fourth on the list. So will you try to beat her next year? I know you're a freshman, but I think
Ooh,
it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
you know, I don't know if I could outbeat her style. I mean, it's pretty good, but I think I'll have to ask advice from her
Oh, for
for
sure.
my game day fits.